They thought Ibrahim Traoré was just another young soldier with a loud voice and a uniform. They never imagined that his words would reach the doors of Tel Aviv, shake Western embassies, and force Benjamin Netanyahu himself to respond. But that's exactly what happened. It started with silence, the kind that follows tragedy. As the death toll in Gaza rose, Traoré, unlike most African leaders, didn't issue a safe diplomatic statement. He didn't play both sides. He stood in front of the world, eyes firm, voice steady, and said something the West wasn't ready for. Africa is no one's pawn. We may not have your weapons, but we have our dignity. And no one will dictate how we mourn the oppressed, was a warning. Not just to Netanyahu, but to every leader who had forgotten Africa's awakening. The tension had already been building. In a recent press conference, Netanyahu had casually dismissed global criticism of Israel's actions. When asked about African leaders speaking out, he smirked. They're misinformed, he said. Let them focus on their own problems. That condescension reached the ears of Traoré. And for once, someone decided not to let it slide. At an emergency gathering of Sahelian leaders, Traoré abandoned the usual diplomatic script. Cameras rolled as he stepped to the microphone, his military coat dusted from recent field visits, and delivered a cold, unfiltered message. You can bomb hospitals and call it strategy. You can silence journalists and call it defense. Not expect Africa to clap for it. The room went still. Ambassadors shifted nervously. The Israeli observer quietly walked out. Traoré continued. When our people cried under colonialism, no one listened. Today, others cry, and we will not be silent. If standing with the oppressed means standing alone, so be it. It was raw. It was personal. It was global within minutes. Netanyahu's office responded almost immediately. Such rhetoric from Burkina Faso is unfortunate. Israel will protect its interests, with or without African support. It was meant as a dismissal. But Traoré didn't flinch. Hours later, he posted a video. No background music, no flags, it's just him speaking into a single handheld camera. You protect your interests, we protect our soul. The line is drawn. That 42-second clip broke African Twitter. Within 24 hours, it was shared over 6 million times. North African youth praised him. West African students started painting murals. In the streets of Bamako, someone hung a banner. Africa will not bow. Arab media picked it up. Al Jazeera aired the full speech. Jordanian anchors called him the only African president speaking like Nasser. Even Iranian outlets hailed him as the lion from the Sahel. And while Western analysts scrambled to downplay it, the message was clear. This was not just about Israel or Gaza. It was about Africa standing tall on its own terms. Meanwhile, U.S. State Department officials reportedly reached out to Burkina Faso's embassy. The message was polite but firm. We urge all partners to adopt balanced language. In other words, back off. But Traoré didn't respond. Instead, he visited a refugee school near the Niger border. Cameras captured him sitting on a dirt floor with barefoot children, reading them poetry about resistance. No bodyguards, no suit, just a leader who meant every word he had spoken. Inside Israel, Netanyahu faced his own backlash. Liberal voices criticized his dismissiveness toward Africa. A former Mossad chief reportedly said, "We shouldn't be picking fights with people like Traoré. He speaks for a rising generation." That's the point. Traoré doesn't speak from ivory towers or palaces. He speaks from the dust, from history. It's from buried bones and broken promises. But now, he speaks with power. He doesn't threaten. War? He doesn't need to. His weapon is clarity. And clarity in a world drowning in spin is terrifying. Netanyahu may have expected silence, or at most a carefully worded statement written by a foreign advisor. What he got was the voice of a continent that remembers. And now, the world is listening. If you believe Africa is rising and deserves to speak on the global stage, like this video and subscribe to Black Lion of Africa, comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Because one thing's clear, this is no longer just a political story, it's a turning point.